All right. Bad news. I can almost without a doubt guarantee that you are killing your cooling system and you do not even know it. Especially if your vehicle is more than 10 years old. But honestly, that's okay. I forgive you, and we are going to talk about fixing it on the cheap and preventing it from happening at all if it has not yet happened to you, if you are so lucky. And also, some of it's a little bit complicated. It's really not too bad, but it's chemistry, so I'm gonna try not to go too crazy with it, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. Coolant as it exists in your car is primarily made of water, which is the thermal conductive component moving the heat around the system. Then there's a glycol compound, commonly propylene or ethylene glycol, that just raises the boiling point and reduces the freezing point. And then there are a number of small concentration additive compounds that lubricate the water pump and promote like a anti-corrosion. But brass tacks, coolant is a pretty inexpensive and uncomplicated fluid, and I think that's maybe why people are overlooking it so heavily. Look, if you were to leave oil inside of your engine for like more than a year, the oil in the pan would start to oxidize and it would become acidic. That would go after all of your rubber components inside of your engine, so your seals and stuff like that. It would turn them rock hard, and then when you go and run the engine and start ripping around, you're going to have all these sealing problems. And in that way, really, coolant's no different. Coolant is a base pH system, but only when you buy it, only when you put it in. Over time, all that coolant starts to oxidize and the system becomes neutral and then eventually acidic. And once it's acidic, it starts eating itself from the inside. Not only that, the additive compounds that are put in the system to protect the system become unstable, and they start to break down and precipitate out. And that is where all this nasty stuff comes from. That's a sodium silicate. It can also be a potassium silicate, but effectively, it's just beach sand. If you let your system get really bad, you're just making beach sand inside your coolant system, which is like, forgive me for getting crazy here, that's the last thing you're gonna want in your cooling system. It fucking blocks everything up. The holes that your coolant have to go through to get through your radiator and your heater core are super small, and if they get blocked up, then coolant won't move around your system, and then your system will overheat. What happens when you overheat? You make a friggin' mess. You blow your head gaskets. You make your vehicle effectively inoperable. I've just seen this in coolant so much, and you just don't want to blow your friggin' head gaskets because your coolant system's all blocked up. It's too expensive to fix. Now, sometimes when you have already blown your head gasket, it does look like this a little bit, so do not get me mixed up here. Look up gunk in your coolant system, note the difference, because you don't want to be trying to prevent something that's already happened, because you will be so sad if that happens. If you're like me and you live in a cold place and you've driven a winter without any heat in your vehicle, you really want to protect that heater core at all costs. But how do we prevent this? How do we keep this from happening? Let's talk about that for a moment. Yeah, but the only way to really prevent this and manage this as it's going along is do your best to flush your coolant system when you can. I don't know, like once a year. Your car's more than 10 years old, 10 years plus. You could be flushing your coolant once a year. It's not very expensive. Filter your coolant. It's wicked easy. Go on the internet or go to a parts store catalog and look up coolant filter housing. You're not going to want to get anything specific for a vehicle, but there will be ones that are universal and recommended for certain types of vehicles, because it's common to filter coolant on like older diesels like Ford 6.0s and Ford 6.4s. I think it was really common to buy aftermarket coolers for. And then people would just like frame mount them or like just mount them somewhere on the firewall or in the engine bay or whatever. Anyway, you buy one of those. You order a couple filters for it. I think these are Wix. They don't have the friggin' part number on the outside of the box. These are Wix 24070 filters. And when you order them online, they always arrive like they could have at any point just ejected from the packaging and went on their own kind of logistical journey and never got to you, but they always get here. And when you shake them around, they're in there, but like, look at that. It's coming out. For me, I got 2 right-angle plumbing fittings, and I put mine right on the valve cover of my Cherokee, and it intercepts the coolant before it even comes in and goes through my heater core. And look, before I even put that in there, I flushed my engine when I first got it. I power washed the block out. I replaced a couple hoses and stuff. But then I was like, I can still kind of see some of the stuff pasted to the inside of the rad and some of the hoses. So I was like, maybe I should just kind of get ahead of this. So I installed it in the engine bay. It probably took like 25 minutes to install, like really not a big deal. Just make sure that you wrap your PTFE tape the correct way when you're sealing those fittings, because that's been the only pain in the ass part for me, is just making sure everything stays sealed, and it took like 2 or 3 tries for that to happen. And then I ran it for about 5 months, and then during a service I brought it back in and cracked the filter off and then cracked the filter open so I could see kind of if it was catching anything. And I noticed like a ton of gunk and a little bit of silicate type stuff in there, and I was like, okay, this is doing something. This is keeping this out of my heater core, which is awesome. So I was very pleased with that. Put another one on, ran it for like another 9 months probably, and then I only took it off recently at school, and it was like pretty bad. Like there's a lot of just sand, just synthesized sand in the system. Yeah, really crazy, really interesting. And yeah, an absolutely worthwhile mod to do. What a treasure, what a treat. Keeping me nice and warm. You know what, while we're talking cold weather solutions, here's a DVD bonus one for specifically Jeep Cherokee drivers. The PCM in a Jeep Cherokee has a pin on it. If grounded and in park or neutral, will just run the idle up to like 1100 or 1200, which makes it super nice to warm your vehicle up in the morning, because you don't have to be in there kind of gassing it up. It's also better for your oil distribution when idling. That's effectively what it's for. Military or law enforcement, and when they were just like sitting in their car for hours and hours and hours on end, oil distribution became an issue. So if you flick this switch, it'll just more evenly distribute that oil, make sure it's getting all the way to the back. But if it's -40 outside and your vehicle's been out there all night, it's also going to warm it up a lot quicker, and it's going to be so much hotter when you get in there. What a treat. That's another modification that if you're a Jeep Cherokee owner, you should do.